Now, the way the students responded to it as a challenge was inspiring. They felt, I could tell when I was teaching them the extra focus. Like, if he says this is hard. Now, let me say this. I've always had, you know, promoted math as being simple. It's logical. Just think and you get it. It's very simple. I always try to keep my teaching and environment light, so that students can find expression, whether it's their thoughts, their questions or concerns. They can ask them. And I always make them feel it's easy. Even when they get it wrong, I say it's simple. You get it. Don't worry, you get it. You know, so it's to disabuse them of the notion, is to take away the notion that math is hard.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because you hear left, right, and center, math is hard. Math is not really hard. It's just, you think about it. It's, if you can imagine it, if you can. So I listened to Obama speak about the audacity of hope,
Yeah.
and how, you know, and again, of course, you have to take into account the historical concept and perspective at the time. You saw in the crowds also, I think there was capture of one Pastor Jesse James or so weeping, and these are people who have been in the civil
Jesse
rights.
Jackson?
Jesse Jackson weeping.
Okay.
You know, these are people who have been in the freedom civil rights freedom fight, and you you understood what it meant to the United States. It was a landmark victory to have a black man win the White House, and to have a man of his stature actually embody that, and to see that, to seize that moment as a turning point for the nation. It was at the brink of a recession as well. So he came with a vibrancy that only hope can inspire. You know, so to speak like that, it also stirred something up in me. I wanted to 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 speak that way, to inspire the same kind of feeling. And of course, I knew I would have to work on my expressions. So, of course, I paid attention to the basis of grammar and how to use words effectively. Sometimes also coming from Nigeria, the stress falls almost on any syllable. But I've come to know that to actually speak and express oneself effectively, there are certain things that should be stressed better than others, you know. And I tend to listen to how people speak and get their points across very clearly, you know. So my parents, of course, I think sometimes the influence of parents are far reaching, that all they could do sometimes is just steer you in the way that they expect you to go, you know. And sometimes,
And if you like it,
exactly,
run with it.
children pick up on that and they run with it, especially when they hold their parents' opinion to a very high esteem. So they feel like, if this will make daddy proud, that seems like an added incentive. Of course, you're bettering yourself in the process, you know. But speaking to me or being inspiring has always been something that I've picked up on. But I think that came at a latter stage of life, not, you know, as far back as being a child.
So, do you see yourself, what Obama did in America?
Right.
Like becoming the president, the first black president, right?
Right.
Do you see yourself doing the same thing in Nigeria? With the way you speak and
Leadership,
eventually
maybe.
becoming Nigerian
Leadership,
president?
leadership maybe, but maybe not political. Um, Leadership in terms of business, maybe. Leadership in terms of maybe a social enterprise. Political, I'm not so sure. And I mean, that's not out of, you know, it's not entirely, I wouldn't say that that's not going to happen. What I would say is, I've not foreseen that, you know, but I do think I could take on a leadership position or leadership task in Nigeria, the United States, wherever really. Uh, but it has to be in the setting where it is inspired by God. because I think taking me to be leadership in any other setting or outside of the context of God's will is like taking fish out of water. I'm not gonna thrive. So
Yeah.
that I know for sure. But yes, I would like to serve in a leadership capacity someday.
So, is being an educator your childhood dream? You know.
Short answer, no.
So how did you get into teaching?
But yeah, I'm gonna start this way. When I finished secondary school, that's what it's called in Nigeria. What instead of not high school
High
as it
school.
is here in the U.S. I took up a job
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
as a teacher in math in a secondary school, but junior secondary school. I was quite good in math as early as fresh from high school. Of course, I had to understudy the current math teacher, but they picked up on how I expressed myself, how I was able to connect also to students. And, and it was a short stint. I had to leave, of course, for college studies in the end, but it inspired something in me. There was a time when I was teaching something that I found in a primary three book that was not taught to me when I was in primary three. It was how to find the square root of numbers using the long division method. I've never seen anybody teach it. I've never seen anywhere else it's taught. I only saw it in the textbook, and I loved the way it was set up. And you could even use it to solve for not irrational numbers, that's non-perfect squares. Although non-perfect squares, square root of non-perfect squares are irrational, so
Yeah.
they have
Points.
countless
Point.
tables,
Yeah.
no, countless decimal places rather. But you could, round to a particular degree of accuracy or particular that place of decimal. Now, I took upon the task of when it came to teaching them Pythagorean theorem. I decided to teach it to these students, and knowing that it is something that they might struggle with, I told them, if you listen carefully, you might get this.
Get it.
It's something that, and it's quite challenging, to be honest. There are intricate steps you have to take, and if you make any mistake at any point, it actually would affect the result of obviously. Now, the way the students responded to it as a challenge was inspiring. They felt, I could tell when I was teaching them the extra focus. Like, if he says this is hard. Now, let me say this. I've always promoted math as being simple. It's logical. Just think and you get it. It's very simple. I always try to keep my teaching and environment light, so that students can find expression, whether it's their thoughts, their questions or concerns. They can ask them. And I always make them feel it's easy. Even when they get it wrong, I say it's simple. You get it. Don't worry, you get it. So it's to disabuse them of the notion, is to take away the notion that math is hard.
Oh yeah.
Because you hear left, right, and center, math is hard. Math is not really hard. It